Your roof, it's the most important protection against nature for your home or your business. That's why I trust the experts at Exterior Home Solutions.
He's Grant Ramey. I'm Rob Lewis. This is the Exterior Home Solutions Fast Break on Volquest.com. And Grant, it was quite an afternoon for the Vols in here against, just ran Alabama out of the gym.
Yeah, I kept thinking back to that game last year when Alabama was #1. They had Brandon Miller, and Tennessee just came in here and pushed them around and limited them just about every way you could do it. But they only scored 68 points to win that game. They beat them 68-59. Today, they score 91. They hold Alabama to a season low 71. They forced 22 turnovers, and that's kind of what I wrote about was this defense is always there, and now it just feels like they can score it. It's just a lot easier for them to put up 70, 80, whatever they need to win compared to what it's been the last few years.
Spoiler alert, I'm getting ready to write about it too. Actually, I think probably everybody who's in front of a laptop is getting ready to write about it. But yeah, we asked Rick about it. This is really, and you talk about it, it's a little bit of a cliche in college basketball, but they can win in different styles now. They don't have to, if they run across a really good offensive team, they don't have to ugly it up and win six, what you're talking like they did last year. If they need to score 85 on a given day, I'm not saying they will do it, but they're capable. It's not going to take some, outlier of an effort. This team is built like that.
It's Dalton Connect scoring 25, and Nate Oates saying it felt like a quiet game for him because he took his foot off the gas in the second half because it wasn't a close game. I think he said he could have had 35 if it was a close game, and Tennessee kept going to him in the second half, but because it was a 7-point game at one time, that he really didn't have to do much. And when Gainey comes off the bench and scores 13, it feels like we haven't seen him in 2 or 3 weeks. That's a huge plus. It felt like Jonas Adu was scoring at will against those Alabama forwards. So you have different options and different guys stepping up to kind of complement Dalton, and what he's done consistently now the last 2 weeks is insane, but that's just him. That's
exactly. I agree with Nate Oates. I thought it was a quiet 25. Heck, at halftime, I thought it was a pretty quiet 17 that he had. And to me, I felt like, I'd have to go back and look and see if this is actually accurate. But, everybody's going to try to chase Dalton off the three-point line, but I thought Alabama did a pretty good job at it, and he took it. He went inside. He got to the free throw line 8 times. He was scoring in the paint, and man, Alabama's guards are probably at least a couple of those guys. Reitzel for one. Some of them are a little undersized. They're 6'3", 6'4", but 180, 185. And when he gets a kid like that on him in the low blocks, it's over.
Yeah.
And it happened a couple times today.
And it felt like the first, 6-8 weeks, he was playing so well, and then he went through that little lull, and you were kind of waiting for him to adjust and how he was going to. Defenses adjusted to him. Now let's see how he's going to adjust to those defenses. And it feels like he's passed the test in every which way he could, because he's going to go right, he's going to go left, he's going to get to the foul line, he's going to hit those pull-ups, he's going to back you down if you're smaller than he is, he's going to shoot over you at the three-point line if you're smaller than he is, he's going to take guard forwards if he can get a forward out on the post, out on the perimeter, he's going to drive to the post. So it feels like whatever you throw at him, he can handle it with something that it's hard to stop. It's almost impossible to stop lately.
Ironically, I think what you need is Jemai Meshack.
Right.
If you're going to stop him. And I'm not saying that Jemai would stop him, but we've seen those guys in practice, and they go at it. And, that kind of a segue into, Jemai kind of ruined it for me, because I was going to write, he only had 2 points, and that doesn't come close to measuring the impact he had on the game. I think he scored 6 late, and it finished with 8, but still, the box score doesn't capture the impact he had out here defensively.
No, Mark Sears is the leading scorer in the SEC. He was averaging 20.7 coming into this game, and he got 22. But if Dalton scored a quiet 25, that was an ugly 22.
He didn't get many when it was close.
And I don't blame him, because when you have Jemai and Zakai Ziegler all over you for every second you're on the court, that's a tough way to make a living. And those guys, like Nate Oates was talking about postgame, it's impossible to replicate. And they just come out here and they hound you for 40 minutes of basketball. And they're going to play that brand of tough, physical, aggressive defense. And now it feels like they're a different offensive team that we really haven't seen since maybe Grant and Admiral 18-19.
I mean, we're 5 games in SEC play, so this is crazy to say, but I think they're a better offensive team.
You think so?
Well, again, it's crazy to say, it's hard to defend 5 games in, but man, just as good as Grant was, he needed help. Dalton can do it on it. If he has to, like we saw in the last 5 minutes at Georgia, he can pretty much do it on his own.
Dalton can take over a game in a different way than Grant could. Grant, you're dumping it down and go get you a bucket. Dalton, it's give him the ball and get out of the way. Yep. Wherever you're out on the court, he can bring it up and be a point for it. That team was, I think, number 3 in adjusted offensive efficiency, but they weren't as good defensively. This team is, top 20 in both, number 3 or number 2 on defense, top 20-ish on offense. So they can do it both.
And I think last thing for me, to me, it's a 3-headed monster. It's Zakai, it's Dalton, and it's Jonas. And I think those 3 guys, not just the way they play, but personality-wise, they really complement each other. I mean, you got Zakai, who's all, I'm in the limelight, I love it, I can handle it. You got Dalton, all he wants to do is hoop. He doesn't care. He's not interested in explaining or talking about how great he is. And Jonas, who is, low key, but really one of the more thoughtful guys on this team. If you want to sit down for a one-on-one interview, but could care less about the spotlight. Right. I think this team's in a good place right now, and with those three guys kind of as the face, I never would have thought it last May and June when we were making so much of it. But Zakai and Josiah and Santi are role players, and that's okay. Yeah,
we were just having that discussion coming out of the media room. Could Tennessee have 3 first-team All-SEC guys? I mean, it feels like they could play up to that level, and the impressive thing is that you got to figure out who's going to be that fourth guy. It could be Josiah, it could be Santi, it could be Gainey, it could be whoever. It could be Jemai. There's a lot of options when this team is clicking well. It's extremely deep, extremely tough to go up against.
Yeah, it was a thorough beatdown today. Alabama came in here 4-0 in the SEC. The computers loved them. Ken Palm loved them. Top-ranked offense in the country, and Tennessee just manhandled them. That's all I've got.
It's a really good basketball team. No midweek game this week. It's kind of weird. So it's like a bye week. Tennessee's not back until Saturday at Vanderbilt, so that's going to be a little bit different. Josiah's had the flu or something. He didn't practice Friday, so probably be good for some of these guys to kind of get a midweek break here and kind of gather themselves for whatever's next in the SEC schedule.
Not the last thing for me, I thought it was important. Coach Barnes said it in there. Big week for the freshmen. Big week for the young guys. Like, it's the end of January. Big week of practice for J.P. Estrella, for Freddie DeLeon. If they are going to, I'm not going to say it's over if they don't have a good week of practice, but could really go a long way towards cementing themselves some minutes.
You look at the box score, it's not huge numbers or anything, but they're taking steps in the right direction. They're getting first half minutes, which means they could be part of this rotation.
For sure. He's Grant Ramey. I'm Rob Lewis. That was a big win for Tennessee today, and this is the Exterior Home Solutions Fast Break.